The last stand at Kepler Station. The morning shift at Kepler Mining Station began like any other, until the stars started disappearing. Captain Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of her cargo hauler as massive shapes blocked out the distant suns, their hulls gleaming like polished obsidian against the void. The hegemony had arrived. Sarah pressed her weathered palm against the viewport of the defiant dawn, her ship's hull creaking softly around her. At 150 years old, the Dawn was ancient by galactic standards, her hull patched with 3 generations of repairs and her engines held together by stubborn engineering and prayer. But she was home, and today she might be humanity's only hope. Commander Zektar's voice cut through the station's communication array with crystalline authority. His words carried the weight of 1,000 conquered worlds. Kepler Station, you will surrender immediately. Your defensive platforms have been neutralized. Your evacuation vessels have been destroyed. Resistance is futile. Through her ship's sensors, Sarah counted the alien vessels, 12 massive dreadnoughts, each one easily 10 times the size of her cargo hauler. Their hulls rippled with energy barriers that bent light around them, and weapon ports glowed with barely contained power. The hegemony had brought enough firepower to crack a moon. Station Commander Rodriguez's voice crackled across all frequencies, heavy with defeat. All vessels, this is Kepler Control. We are unable to mount effective resistance. I am ordering all remaining ships to Kepler Control. This is Captain Chen of the Defiant Dawn. Sarah's voice cut through the resignation. I'm still here, and I'm not going anywhere. The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of life support. Chief Engineer Marcus Webb, 70 years old and stubborn as a rusted bolt, looked up from his console. Sarah, that's a hegemony assault fleet out there. They've got quantum cannons, gravitational disruptors, and shields that can stop a supernova. We've got cargo containers and a mining laser that barely cuts through asteroids. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's xenobiologist who had become their reluctant tactical advisor, pulled up holographic displays of the alien vessels. The hegemony follows strict honor protocols, she said, her voice steady despite the situation. If we challenge them to single combat, they're bound by their codes to accept. It's a matter of pride for them. Single combat? Webb laughed bitterly. Elena, look at those ships. They're works of art. Perfect engineering, flawless design. This old girl? He patted the Dawn's bulkhead affectionately. She's held together, with determination and duct tape. Sarah studied the alien fleet through her scopes. The ships were indeed beautiful, all flowing curves and integrated systems. No visible seams, no external modifications, no signs of field repairs. They were factory perfect, designed by committee, built to specifications that hadn't changed in centuries. That's exactly why we might have a chance, she said quietly. Commander. Zektar's image appeared on the main screen, his elongated features sharp as carved crystal. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship stretched in sterile perfection, every surface gleaming, every officer in identical formation. I am Commander Zektar of the Hegemony Third Fleet. You delay the inevitable, human. Your single vessel cannot threaten our formation. Commander Zektar, Sarah replied, straightening in her captain's chair. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the independent cargo vessel Defiant Dawn. Under Galactic Honor Code Section 7, I challenge your fleet to single combat. Winner takes the station. The alien commander's features shifted in what might have been amusement. Captain Chen, your vessel appears to be elderly. Are you certain you wish to face the pride of the hegemony fleet? Sarah glanced around her bridge. The walls were lined with jury-rigged systems, backup controls welded into place. Over the decades and modification after modification that kept the old ship running, it wasn't pretty, but it was functional. Commander, in my experience, pretty things break easily. My ship might be old, but she's been tested by time, space, and more emergencies than I can count. Your ships look like they've never seen a real fight. Zektar's crystalline eyes narrowed. Very well. I accept your challenge. You may select your champion vessel. You're looking at her. The alien commander leaned forward, studying the Defiant Dawn through his sensors. This vessel, Captain, our intelligence indicates it was built as a cargo hauler. It has no military specifications, no combat systems, no armor worthy of the name. That's where you're wrong, Commander. Sarah's voice carried the confidence of 4 decades in space. Every system on this ship has been rebuilt, modified, or improvised. We've hauled everything from medical supplies to explosive mining charges. We've survived solar storms, asteroid fields, and pirates. This ship has been in more fights than your entire fleet. Chief Webb was already moving toward the engine room, muttering calculations under his breath. Sarah, if we're really doing this, I need 20 minutes to soup up the engines, and I'll need to reroute power from life support. Do it, Sarah ordered. Elena, what can you tell me about their tactics? The xenobiologist brought up tactical analyses on her portable display. The hegemony fights by the book. Precise formations, coordinated attacks, overwhelming firepower. They rely on their technology, being superior to their enemies. They've never had to adapt or improvise. Then we don't fight by their book. Sarah activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to do something that sounds completely insane. We're going to take on a hegemony fleet with a cargo hauler, but here's what they don't know about us. We've been making the impossible work for 150 years. The defiant Dawn began to move, her ancient engines building to a steady throb. Around her, the hegemony fleet arranged itself in perfect formation, each vessel maintaining precise distance and alignment. They moved like dancers in a choreographed performance, beautiful and predictable. Sarah activated her external cameras and studied the alien flagship. Every surface was smooth, every weapon port symmetrical, every shield generator placed according to optimal mathematical models. It was perfect engineering, and that might be its weakness. Webb, how are those engines? She called. Pushing 110% of rated capacity, came the reply from the engine room. The old girl's singing, but she's holding together. Elena, I need to know everything about their shield harmonics. Can our sensors penetrate their defenses? Negative on penetration, but I'm reading interesting resonance patterns. Their shields are incredibly powerful, but they're also incredibly precise. They're tuned to specific frequencies. Sarah smiled grimly. In the cargo hold, she had 17 tons of processed mineral ore, destined for the inner colonies. Different worlds, different minerals, different molecular structures. Each container held materials that vibrated at specific frequencies when exposed to energy. Commander Zektar, she broadcast. Are you ready to begin? We are prepared, Captain Chen. I confess I'm curious to see how your ancient vessel plans to engage ships of the line. You're about to find out. The defiant Dawn accelerated toward the hegemony formation, her hull groaning under the stress. She was outgunned, outshielded, and outmassed by orders of magnitude. But she had something the alien ships lacked. Decades of modifications, repairs, and improvements born of necessity. As the distance closed, Sarah's fingers danced over her controls. The cargo bay doors opened, and 17 containers of mineral ore drifted into space, each one following a carefully calculated trajectory. To the hegemony sensors, it would look like the desperate action of a panicking crew, jettisoning cargo to gain speed. Captain, Zektar's voice carried a note of disdain. Are you surrendering your cargo as tribute? Not exactly, Commander. The mineral containers spread out in seemingly random patterns, tumbling slowly as they dispersed. Each one was following a precise path, calculated by Elena's knowledge of shield harmonics and Webb's understanding of material properties. The first container struck the flagship's shields and disintegrated, its refined iron ore creating a cloud of metallic particles. The second container followed, filled with crystallized quartz that shattered into precisely shaped fragments. The third held magnetized compounds that interacted with the ship's gravitational systems. One by one, the containers impacted the shields of the lead hegemony vessel. Each impact was individually harmless, but together they created something the alien engineers had never accounted for. Harmonic interference patterns that cascaded through their perfect shield matrices. The flagship's shields flickered, their mathematical precision disrupted by the chaotic resonance of 17 different mineral compositions, striking at calculated intervals. Impossible! Commander Zektar's voice carried shock. Our shields are rated against plasma bombardment, quantum torpedoes, and gravitational weapons. But not against a cargo hold full of mining ore moving at precisely the right velocities, Sarah replied. See, Commander, that's the difference between perfect engineering and practical experience. Your ships work exactly as designed. Mine works however it needs to. The hegemony formation wavered as other vessels experienced similar shield disruptions. Their perfect coordination became confusion as commanders struggled to understand how their advanced defenses were being neutralized by flying rocks. Sarah pressed her advantage, activating the Dawn's mining laser. The ancient weapon wasn't designed for combat, but it had been cutting through asteroids for decades. It might not be powerful enough to threaten a warship under normal circumstances, but with the flagship's shields down, it carved through the pristine hull like butter through warm bread. This is impossible, Zektar repeated, his crystalline features reflecting disbelief. No, Commander, Sarah replied, watching sparks shower from the alien vessel's damaged systems. This is human. The defiant Dawn continued her attack run, her hull rattling from the strain but her ancient heart beating strong. Around her, the perfect formation of the hegemony fleet began to crumble as ship after ship found their shields compromised by the seemingly random debris patterns. But the battle was far from over. As the flagship recovered from the initial assault, its massive weapons began to track the small cargo hauler. Sarah knew that her ship couldn't survive a direct hit from those quantum cannons. But she also knew something the aliens didn't. Sometimes the oldest tricks worked best. Hold on, she announced to her crew. We're just getting started. Victory through human ingenuity, the hegemony flagship's quantum cannon charged with a sound like reality tearing apart. The weapon that could vaporize a space station locked onto the tiny cargo hauler that had just humiliated the pride of the Third Fleet. Commander Zektar's crystalline features showed cold fury as he prepared to end this impossible defiance. Fire, he commanded. The quantum blast lanced through space where the defiant Dawn had been a split second before. Sarah had thrown her ship into a spiral dive that should have torn the ancient vessel apart, but somehow the old girl held together. Her hull groaned, her superstructure creaked, but 150 years of modifications and reinforcements kept her intact through maneuvers that would have destroyed a modern ship. How did they miss? Chief Webb called from the engine room, his voice strained, as he fought to keep the engines from shaking apart. They didn't miss, Sarah replied, pulling out of the dive and heading straight for the asteroid field that surrounded Kepler Station. They aimed exactly where their computers predicted we'd be. Perfect calculations based on perfect assumptions. Doctor. Vasquez gripped her console as the ship bucked and twisted. Sarah, you're flying like a drunk pilot in a hurricane. Their targeting systems can't predict chaos. Exactly. Their ships are too perfect, too precise. They can't handle randomness. Sarah threw the Dawn into another impossible turn, using the ship's modified thruster array to change direction in ways that violated every principle of elegant spaceflight. The hegemony fleet followed, their beautiful formation now broken as they struggled to track a target that refused to behave according to mathematical models. Their quantum cannons fired repeatedly, each shot perfectly aimed at where Sarah should have been, each one missing as she threw her ship through maneuvers that shouldn't have been possible. Commander Zektar's voice crackled with frustration. How is this vessel capable of such acceleration patterns? Our sensors indicate massive structural stress that should result in immediate hull failure. Commander, Sarah replied, diving between two massive asteroids. That's the beauty of old ships. When something breaks, we fix it. When it breaks again, we fix it better. When it breaks a third time, we rebuild it stronger. Your ships work perfectly until they don't. Mine works perfectly because it's already broken and been fixed 1,000 times. The Dawn plunged deeper into the asteroid field, following paths between the tumbling rocks that would have been suicide for larger vessels. Behind her, the hegemony ships struggled to follow, their precise formation control systems confused by the chaotic environment. Elena, Sarah called out. "Tell me about those mining charges in Cargo Bay 7. The xenobiologist checked her manifest. 47 plasma charges designed for asteroid mining, each one equivalent to about 50 tons of conventional explosive, but they're meant for controlled demolition, not weapons. Webb, can you rig those charges to our cargo launchers? Sarah, those aren't designed for combat deployment. The timing. Systems are meant for precision mining, not... The chief engineer paused as understanding dawned. Oh, that's brilliant and terrifying. Can you do it? Give me 5 minutes and pray our luck holds. Sarah bought him those 5 minutes by leading the hegemony fleet deeper into the asteroid field. Her ship dancing between rocks the size of buildings while quantum cannons carved chunks from the ancient stones around her. Each near miss sent debris cascading through space, creating even more chaos for the pursuing aliens. The flagship emerged from between 2 large asteroids, its weapons charging for another volley. This time, Zektar had learned from his mistakes. Instead of trying to predict the Dawn's movements, he simply aimed for the largest concentration of asteroids, planning to eliminate Sarah's cover. Multiple quantum cannon charging, Vasquez reported. They're going to saturate the entire area. Webb, please tell me you're ready. Uploading targeting data now. Sarah, this is either going to be legendary or we're all going to die in the most spectacular way possible. The Defiant Dawn's cargo bay doors opened, and 47 mining charges drifted into space. Unlike military torpedoes with their guidance, systems, and explosive warheads, these were simple plasma charges designed to fracture rock formations. But Webb had programmed them with something the aliens couldn't predict. Seemingly random detonation timers based on the chaotic patterns of the asteroid field itself. The charges scattered through the field like seeds in the wind, each one finding its way to a different asteroid. The hegemony fleet focused on tracking the Dawn through their targeting systems, barely registered the small devices as threats. Commander Zektar fired his quantum cannons in a coordinated barrage that lit up the asteroid field like a small star. But instead of vaporizing the cargo hauler, the massive energy discharge struck the mining charges that had been quietly attaching themselves to asteroids throughout the field. What happened next was a chain reaction that no computer could have calculated. Each mining charge detonated in sequence, fracturing its host asteroid and sending millions of tons of rock careening through space. The fragments struck other asteroids, which triggered more charges, which created more fragments, which triggered more reactions. Within seconds, the asteroid field had become a maelstrom of flying rock and plasma discharge. The hegemony ships, designed for combat in open space with clear lines of fire and predictable physics, found themselves trapped in a 3-dimensional storm of debris. Hull breach on Deck 7, came a report from one of the alien vessels. Navigation system compromised, reported another. Unable to maintain formation, called a third. The Dawn, meanwhile, rode the chaos like a dolphin in a hurricane. Her modified hull deflector arrays, originally designed to push aside space debris during cargo runs, now guided her through the storm of rocks. Her patched and repatched armor absorbed impacts that would have crippled modern vessels with their lightweight composite hulls. Sarah watched through her viewports as the beautiful hegemony ships struggled with damage they had no experience repairing. When a panel failed on the Dawn, Webb had 3 different backup systems and at least 2 improvised solutions. When systems failed on the alien vessels, their crews could only watch their perfect engineering crumble. Commander Zektar, Sarah broadcast through the chaos, I believe it's time we discussed terms. The flagship limped out of the asteroid storm, its pristine hull scarred and several of its weapon ports dark. Other ships in the formation were in worse shape, some listing badly, others trailing atmosphere from hull breaches their crews didn't know how to patch. How? Zektar's voice carried genuine bewilderment. Our ships are superior in every measurable way. Our weapons, our shields, our engines, our armor. How did you defeat us with a cargo hauler? Sarah brought the Dawn alongside the alien flagship, her ship's battered hull somehow looking proud despite its scars and patches. Commander, your ships are perfect, but perfection is brittle. When something goes wrong with your systems, you don't know how to fix it because nothing has ever gone wrong before. Our ships break down constantly, so we've learned to make them work anyway. Through the viewport, she could see hegemony crew members staring at their damaged consoles in confusion, their perfect training having never prepared them for jury-rigged repairs and improvised solutions. More than that, Sarah continued, you fight like your ships are built, by committee according to regulations, following predetermined patterns. We fight like our ships are maintained, with creativity, desperation, and whatever happens, to be available. Zektar studied the human ship through his damaged sensors. The Defiant Dawn looked like it had been assembled from spare parts and held together with stubborn will, but it was still functional, while half his fleet was requesting emergency repairs. What are your terms, Captain Chen? Commander, we didn't win this fight because we hate you. We won because you underestimated us. Now you know better. Maybe next time we meet it can be as equals instead of conqueror and conquered. 3 hours later, Chief Webb was aboard the Yaobu Hegemony flagship, showing their engineers how to patch hull breaches with metal plates and industrial sealant. Dr. Vasquez was helping their medical staff treat injuries using improvised techniques that human crews had developed over centuries of making do with whatever was available. Commander Zektar stood on his damaged bridge, watching the human cargo hauler prepare to return to Kepler Station. The Dawn's hull was scorched and dented from the battle, but her engines hummed with steady reliability. Fleet Commander, his second-in-command, approached. The repairs are proceeding, but I do not understand. Why did the humans offer assistance after defeating us? Zektar continued watching the Defiant Dawn as she began her journey home. Because, Second Velkin, they do not see us as enemies to be destroyed. They see us as a problem to be solved. Their entire philosophy is different from ours. We seek perfection and control. They seek adaptation and survival. The Dawn's communication array crackled one final time. Commander Zektar, this is Captain Chen. Safe travels back to Hegemony space. And next time you want to visit human territory, maybe try knocking first. Sarah's laughter carried across the void as the ancient cargo hauler limped toward home, her hull held together with determination and duct tape, her crew proud of their impossible victory. As the Hegemony fleet began its long journey back to their territory, Commander Zektar made a note in his official report. Recommendation: humanity to be classified as Tier 1 species. Do not underestimate their capabilities based on inferior technology. Their greatest strength is not their ships or weapons, but their ability to succeed despite limitations. The Defiant Dawn reached Kepler Station 12 hours later, her ancient engines finally allowing themselves a well-deserved rest. As Sarah settled into her captain's quarters, she looked out at the stars and smiled. Tomorrow there would be cargo to haul, systems to repair, and new problems to solve with whatever happened to be available. But tonight, the old ship had earned her rest, and humanity had earned its place among the stars through the same qualities that had always defined them: stubbornness, creativity, and the absolute refusal to accept that something couldn't be done. The Defiant Dawn might have been 150 years old and held together with improvised repairs, but she had just taught the galaxy that sometimes the best engineering comes not from perfection, but from the endless human drive to make things work no matter what.